everybody, and welcome to another update on the Assault Carrier project. It's been a while, I know. It's been, I think, at least 2 months since I've done an actual update on this. But you can see that stuff is happening, and let's talk a little bit about what has happened. This is one of the LEDs. This is actually going to be the cockpit light. Or bridge light, I should say. It's not really a cockpit, it's a bridge. This is a white LED, so there's going to be sort of a bluish white light on the bridge. And this is actually the bridge window right here, and that is actually just a kind of spare piece of blister pack, miniature blister pack, that I cut to the right length, glued into place after sanding it to give it a frosty effect so that you can't actually see inside at the fact that there's no bridge. I also blacked out all of the pieces to help to keep the excess light from spilling through. That really shouldn't be much of an issue. The only kind of open LED is probably going to be this one, because this is just going to sit right up there when I get that into place. It doesn't really have a spot, but all the other ones, for example, the engine lights, here, let's open this up so you can actually see them. And the engine lights actually have these little holders here that I put into place that really will keep most of the light from spilling back into this area. So we shouldn't have to worry too much about light spillage, and I can even black that out too if it does become an issue. Something else I should point out on these pieces is you can see that I've cut away this edge here. So if you recall from our earlier discussion of these pieces, half of it has the detail and half of it does not, and then it's sort of the opposite on the other side. So cut off this whole section, and it still has the detail here. And the reason why I had to do that is because I'm going to be running fiber optics through these walls, and I didn't want to have to go through 2 layers of plastic, and it leaves the option open for being able to open and close this, whereas you otherwise wouldn't have been able to. I've also got my switch in place. This is going to control all of the lights, and you can see, you can barely see it. It's just tiny, tiny little switch. It took forever to find a good switch for that. And I got these from China. These came all the way from China, and now I have like 100 of them. So if I ever do another project like this, I'm all set. And as you can see, well, maybe you can see, I don't know. Oh, there we go. So I've already run a little bit of fiber optic line. Maybe you can see it. Yeah, there you go. I've done a couple of them here. This is going to be the hard piece, because not only do I have to run them through here, they then need to go down there and through this opening in order to then make it into the back where I'm going to be lighting everything, or where I'm going to be sort of collecting all of the lights and power and everything. I've also been careful to do really nice soldering and then covering everything with shrink tube. This is my first real electronics project, so I want it to be pretty, even if you're never going to see it. At least I know it is. There is the other engine light. Let's see, I don't know if you can see that. Anyway, there's the other engine light back there. And you see that also comes in through. And I have 2 sizes of fiber optic line. This one is the super, super fine. And then I have one that's about 3 times that size. And I actually think that I thought this stuff was going to be too fine and this was going to be okay, maybe a little big, but now that I've sort of seen it, I may only use a little bit of the big stuff in a couple of places here and there because it's really kind of big. So even though the really fine stuff is a big pain in the butt, and the let me show you the drill bit for this. This tiny, tiny little drill bit that I have to not break because I don't have another one. So yeah, drilling tiny holes and then carefully feeding the line through the hole and out the back, and trying not to kink it because that'll affect how the light comes through, trying to make sure that it doesn't pull back through. At some point I'm going to take a little hot glue and dab each of the lines so that it'll help hold them in place. Some of them I can't do, like this one in particular. There's really no way for me to do it because it's kind of behind a big mass of plastic that I was barely able to feed it through, and I had to carve out some plastic to even get access, even to get that much access. So I don't know that I'm going to do a similar one on this side. I might. Since I was able to do it once, I should be able to do it again, but that's it. And you can see that, like, overall, this isn't it's not a difficult process. They're running the line. It's just tedious. It just takes a long time to get that functioning. And obviously, the more you do, the more time it's going to take. But possibly, you know, the better it looks. I don't know. I'm really not sure how much I should do on this. A little bit adds some life, but too much might just make it too busy. And then, of course, yeah, these areas will have some too. And I think at most like 10 per side. I think it's probably going to be good. I don't think I need any more than that. But yeah, so at this point, I'm going to go in and run some more of the line. And I have another white LED that's going to end up probably just sitting in here. That will simply be there to run the light to the fiber optics. And I think what I'll end up doing is collecting all the fiber optics into a shrink tube. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I mean, that's essentially what's on all of these LEDs, but it's just a piece of tubing that when heat is applied, it shrinks down. And what I was thinking is that I could get one that fits nicely over the top of the LED that I'm going to use, and that'll block it from spilling stray light into the hull, but also provides a nice place to feed the fiber optic wires into. And that should work. I don't know. We'll see. Never done this before, so that's going to, I think that's all of the update. So let me get some more work done, and then I'll come back and show you where we are. All right, well, I am now getting close to the end of at least the lighting portion of this. Look at this mess. These are the thicker of the fiber optic cables, and I've used them sparingly. I've got 2 on either side in this location. There's a couple of round indentations that look like they could be lights. And then I've got a couple here, again on either side. and they also kind of look like windows, like maybe they were important areas associated with the bridge. Oops, sorry. And that is all I'm doing with the big fiber optics. And then for the small ones, this half, this is the lower half of the main hull, gets essentially the right side, and you can kind of see the fibers coming out of there. I think I've got a half dozen on this side. 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, six coming out of there, and you can see I kind of got them all nicely bundled up. And then here is the lower, no, I'm sorry, this is the upper half, because that's the side with the hole in it. I've got, I think, 7 on that side. And these are the really fine ones. And then, of course, I've also got the engine lights on this. And then, also towards the front, I've got a little bit more coming through. This is the sort of underside. This is, the bridge would be, well, actually the bridge would be just above this, because this is the bridge light right here. So one thing I have decided to do, and this is, this is all coming from the fact that I really know so little about electronics, and this whole lighting project was part of my learning process. And so what I've decided to do is I had intended to put all the lights on a single circuit, but since I have 3 in the yellow and 3 in the white, or I'm sorry, 2 in the white, I've decided to split them into 2 separate circuits. So I'm going to add another of these switches. I'll probably just put it on the opposite side here. So you'll have a lighting switch and an engine switch. And since they're tiny, it won't even really be noticeable. And I think, yeah, the other one will be right there, right in that little detail space. They're really easy to put in. And the reason I'm doing that is because the yellow lights and the white lights draw a separate amount of power. And I didn't necessarily want to have to do all the math and figure out exactly how to power them separately and then wire in, figure out all of the resistors for each of them. And truth be told, 2 white LEDs can go on a circuit without a resistor at all, because they're drawing about an equal amount of power from the power supply I'm using, which means there doesn't need to be any balance set up there artificially, because it's already kind of balanced on its own. And then the 3 yellows will be on their own circuit with their own resistor. And right now, I'm kind of doing a test to see how long the white LEDs last on a single battery. It's not a scientific test or anything. This is just, I'm kind of curious, since they're the ones that draw the most power, how long could one expect to get out of them before you got to swap the power supply? I bought a whole bunch of little batteries for that. But once I have the switch in, and I've figured out my resistors for the engine lighting, I can actually start finalizing all of that. Once that's all finalized, we'll be ready to paint. Now, interesting thing to consider if you're going to be doing fiber optics, and this is something that I learned back in my Starship Troopers days, you actually want to leave these little leads sticking out while you paint. And there's a good reason for that. And the reason is, if you clip those short before you paint, you're going to paint right over them. And while you could go clean the paint off later, good luck on finding them after you've painted and clipped them down and then painted. It's not that big a deal to have these in place while you paint. So you just leave them there, and then you can clip them down, and you're good to go. The big ones wouldn't actually be a problem at all to find because they are kind of huge, which is why I'm not using very many of them. So that's going to be my next thing. So I'm going to go ahead and get that other switch in, and so let me see. Get the switch in. Figure out my resistor for the engine lights, and wire everything up. And then we're going to be ready for paint. That is so weird. I'm going to have to start gluing things together, and that's going to be like, yeah. Because at that point, I'd be needing to tear things apart if I want to, if I need to get back into it. Like if I blow up all my lights or something, that would just be a huge pain in the ass. And then, get bundle all the fibers together, so that they can go up against the, crap. Anyway, so they can go up against the lights, and we can make that all work. All right, I'll be back in a little bit.